What is up, everybody? I am here with Jacob Westendorf. Um, I want to talk about the draft. The big draft weekend just happened, and I was thinking today because I was going to come on and just do my own thing. But I'm like, I need to find a smart person just like, to talk about the draft because like, but what did you think about the draft?
It was kind of the polar opposite of last year's, right? Now, I'm not talking about the quarterback thing. I'm just talking about the Packers had these perceived needs and they drafted to fit those needs. Whereas last year they really didn't do that. They drafted for positions people didn't think they needed. So it was a fun ride. I'll say that. I like the guys that they were able to get. Some guys a little more than others. I know we were together Thursday night when they took Eric Stokes. So he's grown on me a little bit, but day two I thought was awesome. Josh Myers and Amari Rogers both are guys that I think could start and play big roles for this team next season.
Yeah, I actually like the draft a lot. I think I'm not like the most knowledgeable person everyone knows who watches me at all or listens to me, but they went after needs and like after they draft guys, like I'm reading from all the smart people. Everyone seems to like him. Everyone seems to have a lot of good things to say. Well, pretty much everyone, in the beginning rounds, nobody knows because like I always see like draft grades. I'm not saying that they're a bad thing, but like,
They are.
uh, yeah,
They are.
I know you're a game of Wisconsin. I know that they do draft grades somewhere. Someone does. No, but
I did one and it said draft grades are stupid.
oh, okay.
That
I
was my
wasn't sure.
analysis. No, that was it. So we just posted something after they picked Stokes and it
Uh,
said, here's the pick, here's who they picked, and then it was grade, and then I put draft grades are stupid.
Yeah,
That was
I think they really are. They're fun. Like I can see like first day you say we think this guy, but it's just you don't know like what anyone's gonna do until obviously they do it. Like I mean, it might look good, it might end up not being good, but yeah. So I'm just gonna throw this up here so people can see like who all they got a cornerback, they got a center, a wide receiver. Everyone always talks about a guard, defensive tackle, cornerback, offensive tackle, linebacker, and a running back. But I think that those are all needs. Like I think everyone was talking about. Uh, I think they did good as far as positions. Now we'll see like as players if they turn out. But who's one person let's take off Stokes because the first round pick is usually that person. Who's one guy that you're just excited about?
oh, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to cheat a little. Josh Myers, I think he could start at center tomorrow and be ready to go. I like the way Gutekunst talked about him. He said that they look to build a big physical offensive line, an intimidating offensive line. Myers is 6'5". He's able to move. I think he's going to be a plug and play type. He's not going to be as good as Lindsley was last year, but here's the thing: is if Lindsley came back, he wasn't going to be as good as he was last year. That's how good he was. That's not a slight to Lindsley. That's a hard season to replicate. But I dig the Amari Rogers pick. I know every Packer fan in the world wanted them to pick a wide receiver, and I really like the comp for him is Randall Cobb. And you guys remember how good Randall Cobb was for the Packers so regardless of who's under center, I think he's somebody that can. And I just thought of the fit with. He's not a real down the field guy. He's a catch the ball underneath and make plays after the catch. But with Adams and Marquez Valdez Scantling blowing the top off of defenses, I really do. I think there's a path for him to catch, anywhere from 30 to 50 passes in his rookie season.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Like a lot of people comparing him to Randall Cobb. Yeah, I think adding another weapon on that offense um is gonna be huge because yeah, all the people talking that I don't because like I say I don't know, but everyone was just in love with this guy. I think like I'm one of the people like I actually like our wide receivers a little bit. I get that they're not all flashy, but I think if MVS jumps up, like I'm always very optimistic that everyone's just gonna get better, like kind of
Right.
like Madden, like they just upgrade. But yeah, I think adding a piece of offense is never gonna hurt. So what are your thoughts about the defensive guys that they grabbed?
On the defensive side of the ball, obviously Stokes is going to be the big one that they grab, but I really like their fifth round pick, the guy with three names. His first name's Shamar, and I'm working on getting his last name, but I'm not as well versed yet. But he was a probably a slot corner that they were able to grab. He's got the ability to, he's not real big, he's not real fast, but he's just a really good football player. He led the country in passes defense a season ago. And I know it's weird to say that a 5th round pick could be somebody that they really have the ability to contribute right away, but he's somebody that I think could and jump in there, whether it says that, if they're playing dime, he could be that dime back along with, Sullivan and King and Alexander, or if Stokes takes over for King, whatever. But I really like his ability to play. He's not a high level athlete, but I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, I think it's huge because like obviously how the NFC Championship game went. So yeah, I'm excited for this defense just to get a little upgrade because I don't think the defense obviously isn't bad, but those key mistakes and those key moments are obviously huge. And with a new defensive coordinator, do you think that they're trying to like game plan? Like, are they grabbing certain guys like for the scheme? Like, is it like you know what I mean?
Maybe, I think Stokes is one of those guys that they could have drafted him if Mike Patton was still the defensive coordinator. Gutekunst likes freaky athletes from big schools, and Georgia, obviously a big school, and that was their biggest need. That was the thing. We were talking about it a little bit Thursday night with Alex Strofe, and just the discussion of, I think everybody had the idea after they lose to the Bucks, okay, go get a cornerback. Well, then like the week of the draft, you've got all this smoke about, oh, maybe they're trying to get a wide receiver. Could it be Rashad Bateman? Could it be Elijah Moore? Could it be somebody like that? And then everybody freaked out when it wasn't a receiver.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh my God, how could they not do that? Somebody on ESPN called it an act of war against the quarterback.
Yeah,
They didn't take a receiver. And I'm like, you guys are all memeing the hell out of Kevin King the entire offseason. And now they placed, they found somebody that could replace him.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Well, everyone was going nuts on Kevin King, and then you would think that that they drafted a replacement. Everyone's like, yeah, because even them just re-signing him, like people lost it. So like, yeah, it's like the complete opposite. So I think that's I don't know, but yeah, with everything going on, I see a few people commenting, but I'm not going to talk about the Rodgers situation today. We're just going to focus on the draft, people. So yeah, I don't even know. It's hard like to talk about the draft really like without this cloud above us because obviously a lot of it depends. Like even like with the wide receiver, it depends what's going to happen this offseason with the quarterback situation. But I think it's going to be more of the same. But yeah, so I don't know. Let me ask you this: the Bears seemingly had a really good draft. Like, what do you think about what the Bears did? Because that's huge in the division.
Yeah, their first 2 picks were phenomenal, in my opinion. I thought Justin Fields was the second best quarterback in this draft class behind Trevor Lawrence, obviously. And then Tevin Jenkins is a guy I would have picked in the first round if I was Green Bay. And for Chicago to be able to get him now, that puts their grand total of good offensive linemen up to probably 2. Cody Whitehair is pretty good. And then Jenkins is good. They have some passable players elsewhere, but they do have some work to do on that offensive line. But I was very pleased if I was a Bears fan, which obviously I am not. So I think that, Chicago, if Justin Fields has a rookie of the year kind of season, could be a team that with some of the turmoil going on in Green Bay and everything like that, they could, if the Packers, I know we're not going to talk quarterback, but if they're able to smooth all that over and they have Aaron Rodgers back and the team they have, they win the division. If it's like he comes back begrudgingly and doesn't really want to be there and it's all kind of weird, then I think Chicago could steal that division. I know I don't care that he went to Ohio State. I don't care that he went to the Bears. Like I understand the joke is quarterbacks are where Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. I know there's plenty of jokes on that, but I think that Fields is awesome. And that sucks that they were able to get him.
Yeah, like I think our only hope is that they'll bear it up and then they'll I mean, I don't root for his downfall, obviously. I mean, I do because he's a Bear, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so I agree, and I think a lot of people are saying like the Bears fans are stoked. I've seen them; they're messaging me, they're telling me how great this draft day was for them, and how maybe it wasn't as good for the Packers. But what about the Vikings? What because I'll stick with that. I'm tired. I'm out of it right now. I just got over work a little bit ago. But what about the Vikings draft?
Yeah, Minnesota, they got a couple good players. Obviously, Christian Darrisaw in the first round, that was their biggest need. They had about 100 picks yesterday. They had a guy today, Amar Smith Marset from Iowa, is somebody that I was hoping Green Bay would be able to grab. Minnesota, they always seem to grab a guy or two on day 3 that I really wanted to come to Green Bay. So good for them. The Vikings are the Vikings, and they have a team that can win anywhere from 8 to 11 games in a 16 game season. Now it's 17, so maybe you got to bump that a little bit, but anywhere from there. They're kind of an anomaly. I still don't know how they're going to rush the passer. Their secondary is interesting right now. They did grab Patrick Peterson this offseason, but their first round pick from a year ago is in some, we'll call it legal trouble. May not be able to play again. So they're in an interesting spot, and with kind of not a lame duck coach, but Zimmer, some people thought he might get fired last year. So
yeah, the Vikings are always, like you said, they're always like in that range where they could pop up, have a good year, even like a really hot start, and then fade away. But the Vikings are not really someone I think that the Packers will have to worry about this year. What about the Lions? Because I actually didn't see a lot of like what the Lions did, but I saw people joking about Stafford's probably mad because he leaves, and then they had what people were saying was a good draft.
I know Ifeatu Melifonwu was a popular one for the Packers in the second round kind of thing, and they were able to grab him. He's good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you guys might be familiar with his brother. He does some work in Green Bay. He's the Packers receiver there. Equanimous, his brother. So I kind of like him. Penei Sewell, their first round pick, I thought that was flat stealing at 7th overall. He's going to start for them for 10 plus years. The Lions are a team that they're not going to be good next year, but they are going to they're going to take a lot out of you. Like, you're going to beat them, but it's going to be annoying as hell to beat them.
Yeah.
And they'll steal a couple games that they probably shouldn't. So, it's one of those, it's not a layup, but it's not going to be overly difficult either, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So I think the Lions will be interesting to see without Stafford. Obviously Goff is there and Tim Boyle. Maybe Tim Boyle takes that spot. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on like the top quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, where I think everyone probably talked about that. Everyone knew about that for a long time. But what about some of those top quarterbacks taken?
Trevor Lawrence, we've known about that pick for 6 months, 2 years. Like, he was going to be the number 1 pick as soon as he was eligible to be so. So I love him. I think he's awesome. I think he's in a good spot too. I think with Urban Meyer, I think Jacksonville's got an offense they grabbed ETN, which people hated on the pick, but I mean, realistically, whatever, who cares? James Robinson, local kid, actually went to high school about 15 minutes from where I'm sitting. So that was kind of cool to see him last year. Shenault, DJ Chark, they've got some intriguing receivers. And then Urban Meyer, obviously, on that team, or as that team's head coach as well. Trey Lance, I think, is the one that when the 49ers moved up, I just never was going to believe that it was for Mac Jones. I couldn't, because Mac Jones is a good prospect in his own right, and I think he landed in maybe the second best situation possible with New England and Belichick and McDaniels. But Lance, to me, is somebody who's got a really high ceiling and is able to could be the second best quarterback in this class when everything's all said and done. And now you add him to San Francisco, who has a bunch of running backs, and they added more today. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, a good offensive line, and a defense that's transitioning a little bit, but their front 4 to front 7 still should be very good. So San Francisco is a team that the NFC West is going to be hard to figure out this upcoming season, because, Seattle, they have Russ, obviously, they could do a few things. Arizona was busy this offseason. The Rams got Matthew Stafford, had a really good defense. And then San Francisco, not this past season, but the year before that, they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the change that happened this offseason, I think that division and like the NFC, I think it's going to be interesting. That's drafting. I'm extremely tired, so I'm like out of it. So everyone, it's like I just got home from work, but I think we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate Jacob joining me. He's on Game On Wisconsin. He got all types of podcasts. He's part of Pack a Day as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So check him out. Game On Wisconsin. Thank you all for tuning in. That is your draft recap, brought to you by Quick Trip.